Conditions are the single most important protection you have in a real estate deal. They let you do your homework before you're legally committed to buy. Now, between my years as a real estate broker and now running a real estate law firm, I've drafted, reviewed, or enforced just about every type of condition you'll see in a real estate contract. So, if you're buying or selling a home in Ontario, you need to understand what conditions are, how they work, and what happens if they're not fulfilled. My name is Zachary Soccio-Marandola. I'm a real estate lawyer here in Toronto, and I help people like you close real estate deals every single day. If you enjoy this type of content, make sure you subscribe and join our community. And if you have a closing coming up, we've built the most transparent legal fee calculator online. Gives you a full breakdown, even calculates closing costs like land transfer tax and title insurance. That's linked in the description down below. To start, what is a condition? A condition is essentially an escape hatch in the contract. When you sign an offer and it gets accepted, it's not necessarily a done deal. If the offer includes conditions, the buyer can still walk away. Essentially, a condition is there to say, this deal only moves forward if something specific happens first. Until that thing happens, the buyer has a way out. So when you hear someone say the deal is conditional, that means it's been accepted, there's an agreement on the terms, but there's still work to do before anyone is fully locked in. So accepted does not always mean done. That one distinction is the foundation of everything we're going to cover in this video. So where do conditions live in the deal? Now, conditions are written directly into the agreement of purchase and sale. Specifically, they go in Schedule A. That's the section of the contract where additional terms and clauses are added beyond the standard form. Now, every condition follows a structure, and I like to explain it as if there's three parts. First, there's the due diligence. This is the actual thing that the buyer needs to do, whether it's get financing, get a home inspection, review a status certificate. That's the substance of the condition. Second, there's the fulfillment. This tells you how and when the condition gets satisfied. It spells out that the buyer has to provide written notice to the seller by a specific date, confirming that the condition has been fulfilled. Third is the consequences. This is what happens if the condition is not fulfilled by the deadline. In most cases, the deal becomes null and void, and the deposit is returned to the buyer. It also confirms that they have the right to waive the condition if they choose. So almost every condition you see in an agreement of purchase and sale follows that same formula: the due diligence, the fulfillment, and the consequence. Once you understand that structure, reading any condition becomes a lot easier. Now, here's the three most common conditions. Now, theoretically, the sky's the limit on what kind of condition you can draft into an offer. But in practice, there are three that show up most often. Number one is the financing condition. This gives the buyer time to confirm that they can actually get a mortgage for the property. Now, you might have a pre-approval going in, but a pre-approval is not a final approval. The lender may need to review the actual property, confirm the numbers, and issue a commitment. Now, the financing condition protects you during that process. If financing falls through, you're not stuck in a deal that you can't actually pay for. Number two is the home inspection condition. This gives the buyer time to hire a home inspector and get a professional assessment of the property's condition. The inspection can cover issues you wouldn't normally catch on a showing. So the condition is there so you can make an informed decision about whether you still want to move forward and at what price. Number three is the status certificate review. This one is specific to condominiums, but it's virtually in every condo deal that we see. Now, a status certificate is a package of documents from the condo corporation that tells you the financial health of the building, the rules, bylaws, any outstanding lawsuits, whether there are any special assessments coming. Your lawyer reviews this certificate and helps identify any red flags. This condition protects you from buying into a building with serious financial or legal problems that you wouldn't have known about otherwise. Now, those are the big three: financing, inspection, and status certificate. Most conditional offers in Ontario will include at least one of them. How timelines work. Every condition has a deadline. That deadline is written right into the clause, and it creates what's called a conditional period. The conditional period is the window of time between when the offer is accepted and when the conditions have to be fulfilled. That's your window to do the work. Get inspections done, get the mortgage approved, have your lawyer review the status certificate. How long is that window? Well, it depends on the condition, and it depends on what's negotiated. You might see 5 days, you might see 10, maybe 15. Every deal is different. Here's what matters though: the deadline is firm. If that date passes and the condition hasn't been fulfilled or waived, that agreement is null and void. There is no grace period. So make sure you know exactly when your deadlines are. The outcomes. Once you're in a conditional deal, there's essentially two outcomes. The first outcome is that the condition is fulfilled. The buyer does the work, everything checks out, and written notice is delivered to the seller, confirming that the conditions are satisfied. At that point, the deal becomes firm, and you're now legally bound to complete the transaction. There's no more escape hatch. The second outcome is that the condition is not fulfilled. The financing doesn't come through, the inspection reveals something the buyer isn't comfortable with. In that case, the buyer does not give notice, and the deal becomes null and void. Deposit is then returned to the buyer, and both parties walk away. Fulfilled or not, for the most part, or in simple terms, those are the options. firm deal, or no deal. So that's conditions in a nutshell. What they are, where they live in the contract, the common ones you'll see, how the timelines work, and what happens if they're fulfilled or not. Now, whether you're buying or selling, understanding how conditions works puts you in a much stronger position when it's time to negotiate and close your deal. If you're enjoying these behind the scenes real estate law videos, make sure you subscribe to the channel. I post a new video every week. And if you're a realtor, I also send a weekly update about different legal situations that come up in our closings. That's our Realtor newsletter, and you can subscribe to it with the link down in the description. Thanks for watching.